We are live, I think.
Are we?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Welcome. This is awesome. So just a quick heads up, for some reason it wasn't going right to our RingComm page. So we're going to go live from my timeline. And then Jess, I think you are going to share it on our RingComm page.
Yep.
Perfect. So welcome back, everybody, for another episode of our Pajama Chats webinar series, where Jess and I have come together and tried to figure out a way to kind of help everybody go through whatever they have to go through, whether it's business, education, and just general life stuff. But this week in particular, we are excited because phase one of reopening is underway, and we know a lot of our retail friends and restaurants are doing takeout, and a lot of B2B is getting opened up. So we're getting a lot of questions on what are some simple ways that people can use social media to sell, whether it's a product or B2B selling or things like that. So we're excited. We're not going to go too long, but we did want to kind of talk about a few things that we've seen even in the last week, right, Jess?
Yeah.
I mean, last week we talked about people getting ready, and we talked about how some of these social media sites were stepping up. And I think just in the last week alone, we've seen some really cool and creative stuff that businesses can do.
Yeah, and some new features that have been popping up on Instagram and Facebook. So I feel like this is the perfect time to start utilizing those, because we're all on social media much more than we were before everything happened.
They've done studies. I mean, you and I were talking about it. We could probably find, a million statistics that says that people have doubled, tripled the amount of time that they're spending on social media, just because we're stuck inside. But that makes us a trapped audience, and we're all looking for things to buy, things to do, ways to grow, and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Before we get into that, though, one of the things that we wanted to talk about was kind of the basics of what's important to know before you even start executing anything on social, especially because people, their purchasing behaviors, whether you're shopping for a car, something to eat, or for a new lawyer, they've changed. And the way we look for things have changed because of our behaviors change, because we can't leave the house and we're always online. So the first thing the most important thing you need to know before you do anything is, like, what is your, target customer need? Like, what are they looking for, right? Like, Jess, obviously, like, if you're craving a certain kind of food, like, that I'm craving Mexican food or whatever. But it's a lot different when you're looking for an experience or a workout class, right?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I find those constantly through social media, and it's the people that are using social media the right way that are getting me and everyone else to take their classes or buy their items.
To be honest, I've done more webinars and sat in on more webinars because of things that I'm seeing on social media. So
yeah,
I think first and foremost, think about who you're trying to get and what are they looking for, so that you can make sure you're delivering exactly what they're looking for in the place that they're looking for. Also, one thing we have to say about social media that I think a lot of people overlook is that it does require time. You can't just kind of post something and then walk away from your social media if you're really going to try to build up your awareness, which you have to, because everybody's online right now, everybody's on social media. You have to dedicate a great deal of time into strategically marketing yourself and reaching the right people on these accounts. Jess, how long do you think, whether you've been doing it for us or doing it for a client, how long do you think is a solid amount of time for people to put in to social media?
I mean, at least an hour every day, depending on what you're doing. And I feel like it's, not every social media is the same. Instagram is completely different than Facebook, completely different from LinkedIn. You kind of have to initially take the time to understand what each one is and what you need to do for them, because the strategy is going to be completely different.
Right. I probably, with our accounts, just running our accounts as well as my own, I mean, I'm on it all day, but I probably spend a half hour to an hour every morning on LinkedIn and Twitter, kind of pulling all like industry news. So I know what's happening in marketing and PR, but also in the industries that we have clients in, like the restaurant industry, the sports industry, stuff like that. Instagram, I post to our account, but I'm constantly on it throughout the day, leaving comments under other people's accounts. And Facebook I'll spend a little bit of time on Facebook once or twice throughout the day. But I think what it comes down to too is like, if you're going to have to increase your activity, make it part of, have a routine, maybe, you know what I mean? Like to make it easier, work it into the schedule of your day and kind of put those times aside and it will help you be more effective, right?
Yeah. And I think, we've definitely preached this a million times, but we can't stress it enough that posting alone isn't like, you have to engage and you have to take the time throughout the day to check in and like be talking to the people that follow you and your customers and other new people trying to get, new people to follow you and find your business. Like posting is obviously one step of it, but that's just one small piece of the strategy as a whole.
Right. And, engagement, I think people like worry about engagement, but one of the ways engagement is actually super easy and a lot of people overlook is the ability to cross promote within your communities. And especially now, like I'm in Wakefield and there's, our whole downtown is filled with small businesses, and I'm constantly thinking about, well, what are some ways that they could tap each other's audiences? And I think, again, we're talking about simple strategy, and that's a really simple strategy. Take a look at the other businesses that are in your community and kind of come together, figure out ways that you can cross promote, even if it's as simple as just sharing each other's social media posts. But this is the time for people to get creative and figure out, okay, so what are some ways that we can tap your audience and my audience in a mutually beneficial way?
Yeah, because that's good for both people.
Yeah. And so those are the three things we want you to remember is 1, make sure you know what your customer is looking for before you do anything. 2, be dedicated to putting some time into this kind of new way of marketing because you have to. It's just a necessity right now. And 3, cross promote, build those connections with like-minded businesses within your immediate community, other thought leaders, things like that.
Yeah.
So why don't we now kind of break down, the basic social media accounts that exist and talk about ways that you can sell on them from both a business to consumer strategy and a business to business kind of strategy.
Perfect. You want to start with Instagram because I know there are a bunch of new features on there.
Yes. So why don't we talk about
just today.
Yeah, I know. I woke up this morning and saw it and thought of you right away. Why don't you talk about it from a business to consumer perspective and like some of the things that you've seen, and I can kind of talk about some B2B strategies too, and we can, hopefully we can come up with some creative stuff that people can take away.
Yeah. So one of the new features is the new messenger rooms, which they come out earlier this week. Like I just started seeing them
2 days
ago. It's a video chat within your Instagram Messenger. And you can do it with more people, have almost like in the app Zoom call, but through Instagram. So, and we chatted about it a little bit on our own this morning, but I feel like there's such opportunity there to hold consulting sessions. You could do lessons, little webinars, more private and focused groups. And it also keeps people engaged with your account, which, you can't beat that.
Yeah. You and I were talking about it in terms of like private, like workout classes, but like off the top of my head too, I'm thinking about how many like business coaches there are out there and like women's groups and things like that, it could keep you in the platform more instead of having to have all of these different things going on. So you could have like a meeting of like, Boston Biz Women, or you could have like a separate, coaching session for entrepreneurs where it's, a $5 donation or something like that. But I do think keeping these chat rooms, these private chat rooms, because we're all on Instagram all day, every day, is just a way to make it easier for us to connect with people.
Yeah, absolutely. Heather asked, what's the feature? So I believe the name is the new they're called the messenger rooms.
Yeah,
So,
they're new messenger rooms, and you can go and set up. So basically the same as like a breakout room on Zoom, you can do that right on Instagram.
right. And it's just so much more convenient, I think, not having the extra step of having to invite someone to a Zoom or a Google Hangout. Like, it's so much easier. Just click it there. You're probably already on the app anyway. I mean, it's much easier.
Right? When you're on a Zoom thing, like, let's face it, we all usually have our phones going at the same time, but now you can just be on your Instagram instead of having to be on two different things. So I think it's going to bring that kind of social networking thing a little bit easier. And like, there's so much fun stuff you could really do too. You could host like trivia on that and all these ways just to kind of keep people engaged. So I think it could work from both perspectives. I'm eager to see how that rolls out.
Yeah. And
a lot for dance challenges. I meant to tell you that too. I saw one of the ads for it. They were doing like practicing for a dance challenge. I'm like, that's kind of interesting too.
Huh. I love that. Those are right up our alley. We send each other those.
I still can't believe I've never done one.
Okay, well, we'll change that.
Right. That sounds good.
Insta stories have perfect for anyone, retail or B2B, B2 customer. Just as we've seen with Lindsay in the queue, she crushes it. I mean, I don't think we could give a better example of someone using Instagram stories for a business. She has a shop, sells adorable clothes and accessories and stuff. And she tries on all her new outfits that come in, shows how you'd style them, and post them to her stories. And I believe she used to have it so people could message her certain things. And yeah.
And she'll tell you only 2 left. DM right now. And if they DM her right now, she issues them a invoice that they pay, and she either ships or she does pickup. Now she uses Shopify, and that's an interesting thing to talk about, where a lot of you are like probably trying to do e-commerce for the first time. So there's something called Shopify, which you can work into your website, where it's like you can create an online store on your website. So I know she does her invoicing that way, but there are ways that you can keep those sales right on Instagram. And she sells almost she made that transition over to e-commerce, which she really wasn't doing, so seamlessly. And she's just pumping out orders constantly and creating demand. She's going into her store and taking a picture of everything she has, what she has left. And so we're basically like window shopping or browsing without leaving our couch. So if you see a cute top, you click it, you send her a message, does the transaction, sends it out the door, and you can drive and pick it up, which would be perfect for a local boutique or something like that, or like a local home goods store.
Yeah. And it almost creates like the similar thing to when you're at the grocery store and there's the stuff in the checkout line. Like if you see that on Instagram stories and you think, oh my God, I really want that. You don't want to let it go because you might forget about it. You might just buy it right on the spot because it's there, it's cute, and it's convenient if you can message and get it.
Yeah. Yeah. And now with Venmo and all of that stuff and Swipe and like PayPal even has them, like you can do immediate transactions to get this done, to get the payment in the door. And then all you got to do is arrange for the pickup.
Yeah. Super easy. Should we go on to shoppable tags while we're talking about this and then move on to the new stickers?
Yeah, I think we should, because I think a lot of people still don't realize that you can have like a store on Instagram, that you can do e-commerce on Instagram.
Yeah.
I know you have to get approval to do it, but I don't think it's a very in-depth process, right?
Yeah, I think there's like a checklist of maybe 5 things you need to have in order to have the shoppable tags on your Instagram. I know one is having a Facebook page linked to it. I forget what the others are, but it didn't seem like it was too complicated.
No, I think you had to have like a Facebook business, you had to have an Instagram business account,
Mhm.
Most businesses already are a business account. You had to have it linked to a Facebook, I think shop or store or something like that. Super easy, but the benefit is, and when you can post a picture of what you've got in the store with links. So when you hit the picture, a tag pops up on the item and you can buy it right there on the spot.
Yeah, which is huge because otherwise the odds of someone going to your website to find that specific item and going through the hassle, I mean, they might, but not as much as they would if they can just click it, get the link, and buy it right then and there.
Right. And again, a lot of people do have Shopify, but if you don't, you can do it right there through Instagram. And it's an easy way to break into kind of that e-commerce, is if you have some kind of, good that is sold that you can sell online or that you can order and have somebody pick up, those shoppable tags are killer, because if someone sees it and right away can buy it, again, it just creates that demand, that urgency, that especially if you add that urgency like Lindsay does, two left, buy it right now.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like then it becomes almost exclusive and you need to get it before you miss out.
And it could work, it could work for restaurants that are doing takeout boxes too. Like if you're doing some kind of like Father's Day grilling kit, I mean, this could be a way to take orders in advance so that you can sell out. I mean, I think, people automatically assumed that was advertising, and it's not. It's social commerce. It's a way to buy and sell on social media. So I think, yeah, setting up an Instagram shop with those shoppable tags is killer. But there are other things in the stories that we saw launch over the last 24 hours, I think.
Yeah, I think literally this morning they came out.
We said it on the last one that Instagram and Facebook are running towards the finish line to exchange, revenue in between people through their platforms.
Yeah, and Instagram with their story stickers, there's so much they can do there, which is why we keep seeing these things pop up. The new ones, I mean, last week we had seen the Shop Small and a few others. Now we have food orders and gift cards that you can get directly through the Instagram stories, right?
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
I think, how does it work? I think for the food tags, it links to like a third party delivery service.
Yeah, I think it does, which if you're already using one of those, why not add it in and make your followers make it a little more convenient for them?
Yeah, I know the restaurants are getting killed on a lot of the fees. I know. But at the same time, if you're a restaurant that hasn't started using it yet and it can keep your business alive, it's worth trying. I think it links to like all the normal ones like Grubhub and Postmates and Uber Eats probably, and all of those.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious, since it just came out, I haven't seen it in action yet on anyone's Instagrams, but I wouldn't be surprised if today or this weekend we start seeing that.
Yeah, it's definitely looking
for sure checking it out.
Because I think, again, knowing what your customer is looking for, Instagram is super heavy for food, fashion, sports, fitness kind of things. And like food's one of those ones where if you're, clicking through your Instagram stories and you see a cocktail kit that's from a restaurant, you're going to want it automatically. So it's a good way to get started with it.
Yeah. I feel like anytime I see food on Instagram, if it's photographed well, looks good, it makes me literally crave that right then and there. So if they're doing takeout and I see that sticker paired with their best looking, brunch item or sandwich or whatever, I'm probably going to click that because now I want that and I can get it. How perfect could that be?
It's awesome. It's awesome using Instagram stories and using like that sticker. Now is the time again to start thinking like hyper local. Like I live in Wakefield. Would I drive into Boston to pick something up? Yes, but rarely. But I would have no problem driving within, the 10-mile radius or 5-mile radius to go pick something up. So really making your story show up with hyper local tags, you know, hyper local mentions, again, cross promoting with other businesses, you know, kind of thinking that way, using your locations, using hyper local hashtags like Wakefield business. I mean, if you do some time, take some time and research, there's ways to hyper localize every post that you have, which means it's going to get curated into other people's timelines, into big groups of things, and it's going to get more traction.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like restaurants and businesses outside of the city, I don't see them do it as often, which is odd. I feel like I see businesses in Boston like crushing their social media. The ones near me on, you know, the South Coast are not as much, but I feel like they should, because they have things to offer. I would totally rather drive 10 minutes down the road to a place than, you know, 30, 40 minutes into the city. So this is the time to do it.
And again, if they're cross promoting with other local businesses, perhaps your hair salon shares it and then you see it. It's just kind of like figuring out how to give it as much traction as possible so it gets in front of the right eyeballs.
Yeah.
That's from like a restaurant perspective, but the gift card one is interesting now that retail shops can do curbside too, because I just saw this one as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's new too.
And so what is it? You can buy a gift card through it, or what, like, how does that work?
Yeah, I think it's that you can buy a gift card directly. And I mean, we had been seeing when quarantine started that everyone was saying buy gift cards, support businesses by buying gift cards. But a lot of the time people were like, well, can I get a digital one? Do I have to have it sent to me? Now, you know, it's right there in your story. It's going to be digital. I can click it, you know, 2 clicks and I have it.
Yeah.
I think that just is a game changer.
You know, and like when you think about it, like graduation is here, right? So you could, you know, buy a gift card to say like a, not that stable, but you know, something that could help, you know, a grad get something cool. Father's Day is coming up, you know, like you could think about things that you have kind of that way too. I know it's that is also connected. You connect it to a third party gift card thing, but a lot of people who are doing e-cards already probably use half of these services already. So you're basically just linking it up.
Yeah. Yeah. I think with all the graduations and upcoming like Father's Day and stuff, this is the time, because you can't go into a store and pick out a gift. People want gift cards. It's pretty much the only realistic thing that you can get people. So, I mean, they couldn't have come up with that at a better time.
Baby showers, like these things are changing this summer.
Yeah.
So if
We're
you're
just things to cheer people up at this point. I mean, if you have a friend that works in a hospital, get them a gift card to get their coffee, or, you know, sandwich for lunch tomorrow.
Yeah, without a doubt. Or like to a boutique, right? If you're a boutique, you know, and you have things for Father's Day, take a picture of them, and you know, you can kind of do stuff like that. So I think that's going to be, the gift card thing is going to be interesting. And then obviously we already talked about last week, we talked about like the donations and all of that stuff. But I definitely think those two new Instagram features, and for anybody who's just dipping their toes, and again, if you know, not every industry works with shoppable tags, but food, fashion, home goods, anything like that, I think shoppable tags, setting up those Instagram shops is a great way to start kicking off some e-commerce.
Yeah, absolutely. Should move on to Facebook.
Everybody thinks Facebook's dead. You know, I love Facebook.
I know. I do too. I feel like I get all my stuff from Facebook.
It's such a great, like, overarching community. It literally hits a million things and a million people. I love it. Mark Zuckerberg creeps me out, but I love Facebook.
Yeah, same. I just watched The Social Network recently, so.
So good, isn't it?
It's a great movie.
I had my consumer behavior students, they had to, for their quiz, they had to pick from one of 5 movies, and The Social Network was one of them. That movie's fascinating.
I love it.
I love it too. I love it too. All right, Facebook. So some ways Facebook can be used from a, you know, B2C or B2B setting.
We have Facebook Shops.
Okay.
It was kind of news to me when I heard about it earlier. You maybe know.
No, it's been around. It's one of those things that was like, it was brand new, and then it died a little bit because everybody started setting up Etsy shops and Amazon shops and all of those. but now it's back again. And
Yeah.
you can literally create your own storefront, like your own online shop on Facebook, which is used to be done, but again, everybody switched over. So again, you can do it on Instagram, you can usually do it on Facebook because they're run on the same back end. But if you have a decent sized audience already on Facebook, and again, local boutiques, local children's stores, local toy stores, local things like that, you probably have more of a following on Facebook than you do on Instagram. So having that extra tab, having a shop set up right there on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. And people are already going to be sharing updates about new things that they have in the store, or, you know, their new fashion line, their new whatever.
Yep.
If you're going to be doing that, why not have it that people can buy it there easily? Everything, it comes down to convenience. All of these things make it easier for people to access your goods or services.
Right. Well, again, it's all about delivering what your customer wants in the place that they are. They're on Facebook. If your target customer is, I'll say, you skew a little young, to be honest, but I would say 25 to 70 are on Facebook. 18 to 60 are on Instagram. You know what I mean? So, but by having your products and your services in front of all of those audiences across platforms while they're trapped at home. Remember, we are at home now, so we're online. It only makes sense. And it's easy to set up.
Yeah.
Right? And even if you don't want to set up a whole storefront, you can even start small, right? Because you can actually sell item by item. You don't have to set up a store, right?
Yep.
And that's through what? Marketplace?
Marketplace, you can do that. Yep. And I know we've talked about Facebook groups a little bit. I mean, you can use those to get specific types of people if you know who your audience is, especially I think B2B, because so many networking groups and, you know, professional things
but
like
not
that.
B2B, right? When you really think about it, right? So let's say I'm a local kids clothing store, right? And we talk about cross promoting and building the right community. Every single town has a mom's group.
Oh, yeah.
Look.
Yeah.
You know, every town has a community group, right? There's groups dedicated to musicians and gigs. I mean, there's so many Facebook groups that spending time to join them and find the right ones will be completely beneficial. Because yeah, you're right. Again, like there's like I think there's like a North Shore yard sale group.
Yeah.
You can post things. So even if you're not ready to like jump into having your entire product offering, you can start small. Like if you're a restaurant that's doing a really cool cocktail kit, maybe not cocktails, because I bet there's some limitations, or if you're a local store that's doing like little birthday boxes, start with one. Just start by trying to sell it on the marketplace and tapping those people and those other businesses and those other retailers that are in your community.
Yeah.
Right. Sure. From a business perspective, I mean, we use those groups all the time.
Oh yeah. I'm constantly.
Group is like one of the most active. We're constantly in all the PR groups.
Yep. Yeah. Right? I feel like I check my Facebook groups probably more than I check any other social media.
Yeah. Yeah. Without a doubt. I turn the notifications on for those.
Yep.
But like everything else, I kind of won't. Groups, actually, from a B2B perspective, and now, I mean, and we can always come back to Facebook, but now's a good time to kind of roll over into, because we talk about so heavily like consumer goods and fashion and all that, but like there's lawyers out there, there's, you know, all of these kind of people that are well, okay, well, I don't have a, you know, customer like that. You know, we don't spend enough time kind of building up our LinkedIn, and groups is one of those places that kills on LinkedIn. LinkedIn groups for like networking, and now's the time to network. You know what I mean? LinkedIn has such power in that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, any alumni group. The other day, I like, you know, I've been trying also to do what we preach. And I've been trying to spend a half hour a day on LinkedIn and really thinking about who am I connected to? where can I get information from? How can I meet other people that could potentially become customers or help me with referrals? And I think if you're in a B2B setting like we are, we're a service-based, business, spending a little extra time on LinkedIn every day is going to help you in sales.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't do it enough with LinkedIn. I need to start doing it more. But I feel like you never know who your fellow alumni are or where they ended up. Like, there's so many opportunities there to connect with the right people or people that could be the right people at some point.
Yeah.
Heather has a question about LinkedIn. She's got to send it in, but
Well,
she said she has a question, so just
as soon as it comes in. That's the thing too, though, on LinkedIn. Again, we keep emphasizing this, but this is true on every platform. It's not just about what you post, especially on LinkedIn. You got to think about LinkedIn as if it's one big networking event that you're going to meet a whole bunch of other people. So you've got to engage in conversations. You've got to read other people's content. You've got to spend the time. You wouldn't walk into a huge networking event, stay for 5 minutes and leave and expect to get business from it. So you got to think of LinkedIn the exact same way.
Yeah. And I think LinkedIn has the opportunity because network events in person are kind of awkward. We can all admit that we don't love going to them, but on LinkedIn, you have the opportunity because there are posts of things that are kind of conversation starters. Use that to then get into these conversations with people if you don't know how else to.
And LinkedIn's a great place to position yourself as a thought leader. So again, if you're a lawyer or you're a financial advisor, or you're even like a physical therapist or a motivational speaker, whatever you are, LinkedIn's a great place to position yourself for that. So, doing little quick videos, little how-tos, little webinars where you're hosting with somebody else, like we do sometimes, we bring in a guest, all of those things where businesses right now are using this some industries have massive downtime. They're using this time to kind of up their marketing and build their business and build their awareness and become smarter entrepreneurs, smarter marketers. So putting your content out there, positioning yourself on LinkedIn by doing videos, pulse posts, which are articles, or even just posting other articles and engaging in conversations is going to make it look like you're somebody that they have to work with.
Yeah.
Or have to know.
Yep. Okay. Here's the question. She said, we've been selling a lot of work from home gifts. How would you suggest we reach out and tailor those posts on LinkedIn?
So I think, I don't know that just doing it regularly, like, hey, we sell these work from home kits is going to work. I think the best way to do it on LinkedIn is to create pulse posts, like 5 essentials for working from home. Or even, Heather, I think the best thing you could probably do is find somebody to partner with, like a company or something like that, to put the content out with you. So it's like, 5 work from home kits for every executive. Or even writing content that's like the essential work from home kit that every executive needs. It's almost like drafting it as if it's an article being written about you, but you're writing it.
Yeah. I like that. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. And again, sometimes, again, it's getting other eyeballs, right? So thinking realistically, like who else would be good to push that with, maybe a career coach, or maybe like an HR director, or maybe a recruiter. Recruiters right now are busier than ever. So even if you have a friend or somebody, because I know a ton of recruiters, just to be like, hey, listen, I'm putting together this piece of content. Would you help share it? Or like we do a lot, one of the things we're big on and we believe in is cross-promoting other businesses. So a lot of times you'll see some of our blog posts be like, savvy social businesses, and we'll include 5 other businesses that we can then tag in those posts, which helps our content be seen in front of them. So Heather, if you wanted to do one with 3 other businesses, like a sock company, a robe company, Central Square florist, for what kind of flowers you should put in your apartment to, make it a better workspace. Like those are all ways you can cross promote and get in front of other eyeballs.
Yeah.
Good. I think that's some pretty basic, simple stuff. Again, setting up these shops on Instagram and Facebook. If you're just getting into online selling and you've been so reliant on your brick and mortar, that's a great way to kind of dip your toes in selling online. And from a B2B perspective, spend that time on LinkedIn, find those Facebook groups, invest in learning iMovie. You know, we do this through Zoom, and, you know, again, you could be, you know, co-hosting chats. You could, you know who does it really well, and I have to give him a shout out because I love him so much. My lawyer, who's also a friend, Mike Monaforti. He's been hosting he does it so well, and it makes me so proud. And he like is doing these webinars with like Wilmington Public Library.
Oh.
I reached out to the Wakefield Chamber of Commerce and said, look, I'm a local girl. I built my business here. I waited tables at restaurants. Like, how can I help? Can I do a webinar? Like, now's the time, like I said, from a B2B perspective, is like figure out kind of who your friends in the industry are and start tapping each other's networks with cross promotion.
Yeah, I think video is huge lately. The book club I'm in, even, I don't think I said this last time, but I mean, we're pretty much an online book club. It started small, has gotten really big. Since quarantine started, because with Zoom, you can talk to people anywhere. We don't have to have someone physically come. We've had authors of the books that we read come and do, like, at the end of the month, we do like a chat with them, which we could have never done in person because they're all over the world.
Right.
And, you know, it's not necessarily a business, but it just shows you can do these cool things and get super creative, and people love stuff like that. We need things to take up our time right now. So,
I mean, you know, from a consumer perspective, right? We talk about like fun things that restaurants could do, right? Where they could literally be, I love Central Square Forest. And I always say, like, if she ever did like a how to build a certain centerpiece, and then I could go and pick up the flowers for that centerpiece, like I would be all for it. From a B2B perspective too, a lot of small businesses want to know about PPP loans. We got them. What do we do with them? What are the regulations? Like, that would be a great way for like a financial advisor to host, you know, a 30-minute webinar and potentially attract customers, because again, you're giving what we need. We don't, there's so much information overload on so many things right now. Unemployment, estate planning, PPP loans, that if we could turn to somebody we almost knew or somebody we knew that came as like a reference through social media, we would tune in. So I think, you know, again, coming down to the most important things are know what your potential customer is looking for. Be dedicated to spending the time on social media to have a good social media presence. Build cross-promotional opportunities with other brands, businesses, individuals, things like that, and stay on top of the features. I think that's a big one right now, is constantly, you know, stay on top of things that Facebook's adding, things that Instagram's adding, things that LinkedIn's adding. If you can figure out a way to stay on top of those, you can always be one step ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, because they're coming out at such a quick pace. Like, when we were planning this chat yesterday, 2 of the features hadn't even come out yet. Like, that just goes to show they're coming out fast.
Right.
They're getting more creative with the things they're coming out with, and they're super useful. So
I mean,
first.
Yeah, I mean, we'll do these, you know, every week where we talk about social media. We're going to add in some other fun stuff too, just because I think Jess and I are getting bored. Should we say what we're going to talk about next time?
Yeah, let's do it.
So we are going to break from social media unless like a whole bunch of things like kind of come up or people want us, you know, feel free to drop in the comment section some things you'd like us to talk about. But one of the things that Jess and I decided our next Pajama Chat is going to be on next week is dating in times of quarantine.
Yep.
We're going to break down how we can wife Jess up. No, I'm just kidding. How single, you know, individuals can find love in times when you can't go to a bar and you can't go to a concert and you can't go to an event. So we're going to have some fun guests. We're going to break down some cool things that some of the dating apps are doing. We're going to hopefully have somebody that can talk about ways to make yourself, you know, more, I guess, approachable online. I'd fail at it. If I was single, I would fail at this completely. My charm is in loud bars that are dark. I could not have done well being single on Zoom. Everybody would have just been trying to click the friggin' little thing close. And then we're going to host a fun online event that we'll talk about next week. So again, thanks everybody for tuning in. We're going to try to help as many small businesses. If there's things that you want to know or you want to pick our brains for a half hour, we did launch our lunch hour series, which is free consulting, half-hour consulting sessions that you can sign up for, where you spend your lunch half hour with me and Jess, and you can ask us anything you want about marketing, business, social media, PR, whatever it is. You can sign up for a slot on our website. There's a page. And anything you want us to talk about that we didn't talk about, feel free to leave in the comments section. Otherwise, we will see you same time next week.
Yes.
All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a good rest of the day.